Class 8, this is another time. I hope you had a good Eid, and today we are also going to do our mathematics. And like I promised you last time when you're doing simple interest, I told you that we are going to cover compound interest. So this topic requires adequate attention, so make sure that in your environment where you are, you're very attentive and you concentrate. So avoid distractions for you to understand this topic because it's a very new topic for you. And before even I forget, uh, we are going to have our maths contest on Wednesday. So if you are a parent and you are watching, allow your son or daughter to do that work. So provide some time for your son or daughter at home, and also encourage him or her to participate in the contest. So we are competing and all class 8 must participate in that contest. So if you don't do that work, you will answer questions when the school reopens. So class 8, you have time right now. So I believe you're going to participate. So compound interest. So what's the difference between compound interest and simple interest? So today we are going to cover compound interest, but they are more, let me just say, they are almost the same. There's only some slight difference, and we'll see the difference. So this video is prepared for compound interest only, and also make sure you also learn about simple interest in our previous video, and then you compare and you can be able to tell the difference. So if you have everything, class 8, let's get to work. So like simple interest, you are saying that also in compound interest you are going to use the same formula. So just like simple interest, the way to calculate interest is always PRT over 100. However, there's some slight difference. That is, simple interest, when you talk about, we're calculating it for the whole year. If it is 5 years, multiply by 5. But in compound interest, we are saying interest is calculated per year or per month. If they're giving you per month, you'll calculate per month. The principal, you'll find out that it is changing after every year. And if you want to find your amount, like when you're using simple interest, we said amount is equals to principal plus interest. Even here is the same. But remember that here in compound interest, you'll be forced to use your last principal plus your last interest. So if these terms maybe are challenging for you right now, let's see how we can tackle one question of compound interest. So make sure you watch, and like I told you earlier that compound interest is even easier than even simple interest, because this one you just follow the steps. If it is 2 years, just know that you'll multiply times 1, not times 2. If it is 1.5 years, you'll multiply times 1, and then after getting your answer also you'll repeat it times a half. What do I mean by that? Let's look at our first example. So our first example, a trader took a loan of 50,000 Kenyan shillings in a bank that charges 25% compound interest per annum. So underline that is the compound interest, not simple interest. Calculate the amount. So we are finding amount that he paid after 2 years. So no problem. Just remember that there is no way you in compound interest you'll multiply times 2. So if it is 2 years times 1 times 1, you need to calculate interest of every year. So just come here and write your formula. Interest equals to PRT over 100, and then what is the interest in the first year? So if it is 2 years times 1 times 1, if you look here, I've multiplied times 1 times 1. So let's start with the first year. How much interest will be earned in the first year? So interest PRT of 100, so it is 50,000 times 25 times 1 over 100. You'll find out that after the first year, the interest was 12,500. Do your calculations. You have your rough paper. So 50,000 times 25 times 1, the first year, the interest that will be earned is 12,500. So this is your interest. That means At the beginning of the second year, you will not be having 50,000, you will be having 12,500 more. So you add this one, 50,000 plus 12,500, which will give you 62,500. This is your principal of the second year. Remember, I told you the principal is going to change after every year. So the first year you were having 50,000. They added 12,500. So that means in the second year you will have 62,500 because they are going to add that interest from the principal here. So then you repeat the same process. That is 65,000 times the rate, it does not change, it is 25. Then times 1 also over 100. So if you simplify this 20 and this 20 here, you'll find out that the interest of the second year is 15,625. Now listen very carefully. If I ask you to find only interest, you will only come here and add 12,500 plus 15,625. This is your interest of the first year and this is your interest of the second year. But then if you want to find the amount, if you go back to the previous slide, we said amount is equal to last principal plus the last interest. So you'll come here and say the last principal that I use is 62,500 and my last principal is 15,625. So you'll just add these two, that is P plus I, that is 62,500 plus 15,625, and your amount will be equal to 78,125. Maybe before we go to our next example, let me just reiterate in the following. We are saying when you have compound interest, we don't multiply. If it is maybe 3 years, you don't multiply by 3. We calculate interest of every year, and therefore our principal will be changing after every year. So if you have 2 years, just know it will be times 1 times 1. If you have 3 years, you will come here and multiply times 1 times 1 times 1 while changing your principals here, because that interest will always be added to your principal after every year. So find your interest of the first year, and then after finding your interest, find your principal of the second year as you add until you finish the 2 years. Then if someone asks you the interest, you'll just add these two if it is 2 years, but if it is 3 years, you'll find out that you have 3 interests here, and then the last principal that you use is what you add to your last interest. So let's try another example. I believe after doing 3 or 4 examples, you'll be able to at least understand what is happening. So our second example, Kipchoge invested 24,000 in a bank that charges 5% compound interest per annum. How much interest did his money earn after 1.5 years? Don't worry. Remember I told you this one doesn't know how it will be times 1 and then times a half. No problem. If it is 2 years, times 1 times 1. If it is 3 years, times 1 times 1 times 1. So let's find our interest of the first year. So PRT over 100. 24,000 times 5 times 1 over 100 will give you an interest of 12,500. So first year, the interest that the money earned is 1,200. So second year, how much will you be having in the second year? At the beginning of the second year, add 24,000, or you can add this one here, 24,000 plus 1,200, that is 25,200. So let's calculate now our interest at the beginning of this second year. So it is 25,000 times 5 times a half. This is the half that I'm talking about. So after multiplying by 1 year, this one will be times a half because it is a half a year, not a full year. If you simplify, you get your interest is 630. So interest of the first year, 1,200. Interest of the second year, even if it is half a year, because you are multiplied by half, no problem, 630. Then this question is asking you to find interest only. And like I told you earlier, if you were finding the interest only, you need to add these two. That is the interest of the first year plus the interest of the second year. That is 1,200 plus 630, which is 1,830. But if you are finding amount, you will be adding This is your last principal plus your last interest. Example 3 also is about interest, very important and also very easy. Right now, I believe now you can even do this one alone. You just need to watch and watch until you get the concept. So Abdi deposited 8,000 in a bank that charges 20% compound interest per annum. If you withdrew all the interest, so I'm finding interest after 2 years, how much do you withdraw? Very easy. Let's start with the interest of the first year. PRT over 100. So 8,000 times 20 times 1 over 100. If you simplify these two zeros plus these two zeros, 8 times 2 is 16 plus the two zeros. The first year the interest was 1,600. So the principal must change. You are adding this one plus this one to get the principal of the next year. So if you add 8,000 plus 1,600, you will get your principal at the beginning of the second year as 9,600. So 9,600 times 20 times 1, because it is 2 years, I've multiplied the first year and the second year, 1. Then you simplify these two zeros and these two zeros. 96 times 2 is 192 plus 10. So the interest of the second year is 1,920. So what is the interest? Interest of the first year plus interest of the second year, and your answer is 3,520. Very easy. So if you're maybe finding amount, just remember that you will be adding this one plus this one. So it will be 9,600 plus 1,920. But because they said interest only, you will just need to add these two. So to our last example, let's try the one for 3 years. This one also will be very, very important. And if you are able to understand this one, this example, there is no question of compound interest that you will not do. So compound interest, nobody will be asking you, did you find the number of months? I don't know, find the number, the rate of the bank, find what. It is either interest or amount. So class 8, compound interest is the easiest. So this fourth example, make sure you will understand it. So let's start. A farmer deposited 18,000 in a bank that charges 5% compound interest per annum. How much was in his account after 3 years? So I'm finding amount after 3 years. And a clever pupil will be able to know that 3 years now it is times 1 times 1 times 1. So nobody, or there is no area where I've told you multiply by 3. It is interest is calculated per year. That's the difference between compound interest and simple interest. In simple interest, you just multiply by 3, no problem. But in compound interest, per year. So times 1 times 1 times 1. So let's begin. First year, what will be the interest of the first year? 18,000 times 5 times 1. 2 zeros here, 2 zeros here. 18 times 5 is 90. Then you add a 0. So the interest of the first year will be 900. So what will be your principal coming to the second year? You need to add, because your principal must always be changing. So 18,900 is what we'll be having as your principal in the second year. So if you multiply also by 5, the same rate times 1, you will get out that these two zeros will cancel with these two zeros, and then 189 times 5 is 945. You have a rough paper, you can confirm. That means now the third year you need to add this one plus this one. Don't come back here, no. You add as you go. So 18,900 plus 945. You will get that your principal of the third year will be 19,845. Don't confuse. Add this principal plus this interest as you go down. So here, remember, I added 18,000 plus 900, and then I came here. This time round, I'm adding 18,900 plus 945 for me to get the principal of the next year. That is the third year. Then I just multiply times 5, which is my rate, times 1 over 100. So this time round, there's no 0 for me to simplify. Don't cry. The only thing you're supposed to do is multiply this number by 5. You are at home, you have a rough paper. 19,845 times 5. you will get it is 99,225, and then 2 decimal places, just divide by 100, just 2 decimal places. So you'll just move 2 steps, 1, 2, and we'll find that the interest of the third year is 992.25. So this is the principal of, the interest of the third year. So I've said you multiply this one by 5, then 2 decimal places. Don't worry about simplifying, because you'll get a fraction. I don't want you to get a fraction, because it is going to be very hard for you to add. So get a decimal, which is very easy. Just multiply this one times 5 times 1, then you divide it by 100. That means have your 2 decimal places. And because I'm finding amount, if you look at the question here, nobody is asking you to find the interest. The question is asking you to find the amount, and amount is equals to principal plus interest. But your principal should be the last one that you use, and the interest should be the last one. What is the last principal that you used? It is 19,845. What is the last interest that you got? 992.25. So this is what you're going to add. 19,845 plus 992.25. So add 992 here, and then you add this 2.25, or you can just you can arrange your work downwards. Make sure the decimals are on the same side. So 992 you place down here, then 0.25. It is going to be 20,835.25. So this is your answer. So compound interest, it is very easy, I believe, if you watch and rewatch and then you do a lot of practice. So a good pupil is the one who will go ahead of the teacher and also do a lot of practice. Just know that the only difference here is that after finding your interest here, you add, and then you go to the next year. And then if you are also going to the third year, you will also add this one plus as you go to the third year. So that is part of the principle. If you look at the principle that you use in the first year, the second year, and the third year, they are not the same. That's why I told you the principle will be changing after every year. Why? Because you must always be adding the interest as you go down. So then the question down there is that if you are finding interest, you will only need to add these sides which are here. But if you are finding amount, don't worry, just write your formula as amount is equals to principal plus interest, and make sure you are adding the last principal that you use plus the last interest. So this is our last principal that we used, and this is our last interest that we got. So you add the two and you will find your amount. So make sure you write those examples step by step as you try to understand them. So our assignment that will gauge you if you have understood, feel free also to consult the teacher. I will be able to help. Our assignment also, as usual, is coming from KCP Mirror. That is revision exercise 5.8, page 134 to 135. You will be doing number 1, 3, 4, and 12. Then you WhatsApp your work on the number there. As I finish, don't forget our contest is on Wednesday, maths contest for class 8. So if you're in class 8, be revising, warm up. And then on Wednesday, very early, you will find that I've sent an exam through the WhatsApp portal that you have. Then you start a very simple exam. So don't get scared. I want you to score good marks, just to keep you to encourage you while you're at home. So don't think that it's a very hard exam. It is very easy. Anybody can be able to score good marks in that paper. Remember, we are competing with so many schools, so make sure you do that work. Have a good day.